on jazz guitar today. So you heard me play over an E-flat blues, and I did it because of this really magnificent blue sweater that I'm wearing. But I guess a more important reason why I did it is because of that Clifford Brown lick. Okay, so dad jokes aside, the reason why I chose this is because of a really interesting concept that I think is really, really cool. So let's go check out this Clifford Brown lick. So in this, he's playing Sandu, and that's his blues tune that he wrote. And in this is a turnaround going to C minor 7. And the chords are E flat 7, G7, and C minor 7. Alright, so that's all fine and dandy, but check out the line that he plays. So this line is the concept that I'm going to talk about today, and that is horizontal playing. So horizontal playing is basically where you're thinking in one key center and you're not trying to outline the changes within a progression. And this brings up my first point that is an advantage of horizontal playing, and that is you get really interesting target tones. So let's look at this G7 chord. So right off the bat, he lands on the sharp 5 of G7, and he also lands on the sharp 9, and that's E flat and B flat, and that gives him a really great altered chord. But if you look at it in a more broad context, that's just an E flat major triad over G7. So that is a case in point of horizontal playing. And over that C minor 7, you see him using B flat major pentatonic, which is still diatonic within that E flat major key. And that gives him the flat 7, the 9th, and the 11th. And then to end his idea, which is important within every line that you do, especially with horizontal playing, is he lands on a really strong target tone. And that is the G within C minor 7. Okay, so the final point I want to talk about as well is how this relates to that David Baker bebop lick. So this is an example of somebody that's using the lick, but they're going completely off of it and making up their own thing. And the similarity between the two is he's using the chromatic descent going down from that F to E to E flat, just like that David Baker bebop lick has that C to B to B flat. And now that is the end of this lick. And it's not the end of this video though. So up next is number 2 within horizontal playing. And number 2 is that when you're thinking in one key center, when you're using horizontal playing, this allows you to think about more broad concepts, such as your time. And you can push and pull against the rhythm section, and it gives you some really interesting concepts to kind of work with. So the next improviser that I'm going to talk about that does this is Stan Getz and his solo on Windows. Okay, so here is the 4 bars of this idea. And pretty much he's playing over the A minor 11 chord within Windows. But he's doing something really interesting. So most people, I think they would use A Dorian and A minor based ideas, or maybe even think in D7 or D Mixolydian like I talked about in my last video. But here he's thinking about horizontal playing and he's doing G blues. So this line is pretty much all in G major, but he has that blue note, which is the flat 3rd going to the major 3rd. And when he does this, he lays back against the time while the rhythm section is keeping their rock steady time. And this brings up another interesting point within horizontal playing, which is that horizontal playing and blues pretty much go hand in hand. So whenever you listen to somebody soloing over the blues, a good chunk of the time you'll hear them play in the tonic key of the blues. And they'll push and pull against the time just like I'm talking about. Okay, so now we're going to get into the final idea of horizontal playing, and this is number 3, and that is repetition. So with repetition, this is really ideal when you're doing horizontal playing because this allows your idea to really be digested by the listener, and it really allows your idea to shine when you do it. So Stan Getz also does this as well. Let's go check it out. So when Stan Getz is playing at the top of the form here, he's really doing the same thing and he's using those blue notes. But this time he's thinking in A major. So he's going from C to C sharp. And he's repeating this idea for 5 bars. And then when he gets to that G sharp minor 7 flat 5 chord, he ends it by hitting the 5th of A major. And that's also the flat 13 of that G half diminished chord, aka G sharp minor 7 flat 5. So now I'm going to play a solo that's going to be based in a modal progression just like Stan Getz, and I'm going to use all 3 concepts within horizontal playing. I'm going to do the interesting target tones because I'm going to be playing in 1 key. I'm going to be pushing and pulling against the time, and I'm also going to be using a lot of repetition. So all these things are going to intertwine, and it's going to make a really interesting, out-of-the-box type of solo. And it's going to really show this concept really well. So before I do that, I'd love to hear some of y'all's favorite players that use this concept as well. One of my other favorites is Jimmy Smith. He really nails all those really cool blues lines, and he really pushes the time really hard, and then all of a sudden he'll go back and be with the rhythm section. Okay, so the progression that I'm going to be playing over is going to be an A minor 11 to C minor 11. It's going to be a maiden voyage of horizontal playing. Okay, so this is the end of the video, and in the next one we're going to talk about Bill Evans and how he's using the David Baker bebop lick, and he's going to use all of his Bill Evans characteristics and elements within his playing, and we're going to talk about that. So I'll see y'all there.